Hi, I'm Gavin. So this is part two of camera focusing systems. And what I'm going to look at today is rangefinders. Now, whenever you think of rangefinders, you think of Leica. But Leica weren't the first people to put them on cameras. I believe it's a Kodak A3 autographic was the first camera in 1916 to have a rangefinder built on. And they used to appear as small separate units, and they were called telemeters, and you could fit them to cameras as well. So how does a rangefinder work? It's basically, I've got a Yashica Electro 35 here. You have a viewport window that you look through, and it has a thing called a beam splitter in it, and that throws a patch into the distance at your target. And then over here, you've got a separate window. And in that's got another mirror system with another patch. And basically, as I move the gearing that does the focus, the two patches will come into alignment in the viewfinder over here. And the moment the patches are put together properly, that means it's in focus. It's all worked out with gearing in here relative to the lens. So it's incredibly simple and it's really, really accurate. There's two ways to do it, either with a patch or a split image. But these have been made throughout. This is a Electro 35. This is a Olympus 35 SP. This system's been around literally forever. And because it's incredibly simple. It's pretty foolproof unless you get a misalignment in the mirrors. And it's also really quick. Now, the big thing about rangefinders became hugely popular because of their compact size. And also there's some other benefits to rangefinder cameras. There's no mirror as such. There's no mirror flip. So basically, because you've got no mirror flip, you've got less vibration and no shutter lag, less shutter lag basically, because obviously you're not flipping the mirror up, moving the shutter, so they're incredibly quick with things like that. There are some downsides to rangefinders. They're not great at long distance and they're not great at macro. So sort of wide-ish and standard lenses are brilliant. But they became immensely popular, as you know, like Leica is huge, isn't it? And also the other thing is because the back of the lens is so close to the film plane, you get less distortion. So it's apparently a more accurate image from a rangefinder camera. So they've got lots going for them. So yeah, so the rangefinder systems, it's deadly simple. You see the two windows on here, and the same thing on the Olympus SP. It's got its sort of rangefinder windows on here. Now, they don't really use rangefinder technology that much in cameras today. Obviously, as we looked at it, it's like passive autofocus, contrast detection, or image discrimination. There is one digital rangefinder out there. I think it's a French thing called a Pix, but it's not really used apart from still in these cameras. It is quite funny because when Fuji introduced their X100 series, it's like, as you can see, it's sort of like was based on the whole rangefinder look, and it even has the window at the side to give it the appearance of rangefinder. It's not a rangefinder at all, and actually suffers from one of the other problems with a rangefinder, which is the fact that because you're not composing the image through the lens on these, there's an offset to where your picture is. So even though I'm looking like that, my picture is going to be shifted slightly because the actual photograph's being taken through there. So on something like the Fuji X100, the Fuji X series, they've actually digitally built in the offset, so it shows you the image you're going to get. You can actually see it when you look through. So they've done that, but I mean, this isn't a rangefinder. I think this is contrast detection, and it may be, I'm not sure, but yeah. So but it looks like one, doesn't it? I mean, this is nice though. It does have a hybrid optical viewfinder, so you actually, it's always nice to see the thing not through a digital screen what you're shooting. So yeah, that's rangefinder technology. It's brilliant. It's deadly simple. I mean, even on a you can buy the units. You used to be able to buy the units, put them on the top, and actually look through it and focus through those. I think even some of the bigger cameras, the big format cameras, you can get the rangefinder units to attach to use. But it's such simple technology, and it works so well. Some of the older ones, though, quick word on these. It's like the Olympus SP, because it's all done with silvered mirrors inside. Some of the rangefinder cameras, the older ones, can suffer from the patch fading. And obviously, if the patch fades, you can't focus. And the Olympus 35 SP is one of those. You have to be really careful you buy one of these. I'm on my second one now because the patch faded on the other one so much. There's nothing you can do. You just can't focus it anymore. It's just useless. So just keep a look out. Make sure you've got a really nice bright patch on the camera when you buy an old film rangefinder. And last thing, slight aside, I mean, they tried to bring in all sorts of, Contact made a film camera which had a digital rangefinder in it, which was the G series. But there's all, other, I don't know where this sort of focusing mechanism would fit into the whole thing. Maybe it should have gone into autofocus, but it's not autofocus. Contact, as I've mentioned in other videos, had a huge problem. Contact Yashica, that they weren't allowed to have autofocus lenses. Everybody else was doing autofocus, and Contact, there was a problem. Contact, sort of Carl Zeiss, didn't want them to modify the lenses, so Contact Yashica had to come up with a way to sort of give people autofocus and stuff like that, but without modifying the lenses. Their camera, the AX, actually moved the entire film box backwards and forwards to be the autofocus instead of the lens, because they couldn't touch the lens. One of the other ones, which is sort of a semi-autofocus focus indicator thing, was the RX. The RX has unbelievably phase detection built in. I mean, this is like 80s, 90s camera. Has phase detection built in. And so when you point it at something, even though you can't control the lens with it, it tells you when it's in focus with these indicators at the bottom. It's like you see focus confirmation on autofocus cameras. But this also gave you the depth of field. So like zone focusing, it actually gave you it in the window. It told you how much acceptable focus front and back you would get from what you were shooting, which is incredibly clever, because it changes as well with each lens you put on. I mean, that was a really seriously good bit of engineering. But obviously at the time, when the RX came out, everybody had gone to autofocus, so poor Contact had got left in the dust with it all. Anyway, so that's rangefinders. Amazing cameras. I mean, you should all have a rangefinder as well as your SLRs, because it's a different shooting experience. But very quick to focus. They do have their issues, as I've said. You can't do there's certain things they're restricted to. But look at the size. I mean, they're fantastic. And the other thing is, with the fixed lens rangefinders that you get, the glass on these things is incredible. Both of these cameras, the Yashica and the Olympus SP, these two lenses are amazing that they put on these cameras. Obviously with Leica, they gave you an interchangeable lens system. But I don't think anybody's ever going to argue about how good Leica lenses are, because they are really good. So, I mean, but yeah, Nikon made some rangefinders, early rangefinders. They're great to shoot, and it's a really simple focusing system, and it just works. I mean, it doesn't matter if the batteries don't work, because you can still focus it. Anyway, that's rangefinders. Next, we'll have a look at focus screens, and probably have another chat about my favourite subject, which is zone focusing, which is nature's autofocus. Anyway, all right. Thanks for watching.